It is strategy season, so I'm guessing many of you on your calendars right now are 2-day events or some strategic planning that's largely going to waste your time. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how you could spend that time better this year and what you should do with your strategy. So if I tell you that strategy can be a waste of time, the answer that I usually get back is that we need strategy. It's our global positioning system. It's our guidance and navigation that tells our ship where to go. Sure, you need to know where you're going, but knowing the destination is rarely the problem with strategy. What's more, the problem is that the rudder is broken, you have no steering of the ship, and the crew do not understand their orders. It's primarily a difference between strategy formation and strategy execution. We spend 90% of our time doing strategy formation and only 10% of our time actually cascading it through the organization so that people know how to follow and execute on that strategy. If you don't believe me, answer the following test questions. How often have you looked at or updated last year's strategy? My guess is, like most people, you're not even sure where that strategy is. Or ask the question, how many of your employees could name the company's top 3 priorities? So my guess is that you do not have a strategy formation problem. You likely have a strategy execution problem. So what you can do about it is to spend a lot more time on strategy execution and less time on the strategy formation. So here are some things that you could do to save time on strategy formation. 1, start with last year's strategy. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go ahead and send that out to all the relevant leaders and ask for feedback and information before the session. A second thing you could do is involve only the relevant people. Setting strategy is rarely a democratic process, and you don't want to water down your objectives. The third thing you could do is to actually make good use of the time when you are having a session. So skip the trust falls and the team building exercises and focus on the relevant communication and exchange of information that needs to happen to form a good strategy. So with this saved time, where are you going to be spending more time? You're going to be spending it on execution and translation or cascading throughout your organization. The strategy at the highest level must be translated to each functional team to have meaning about how it changes their behavior. You do this cascading by asking each group 3 questions. 1, how do you contribute to the existing strategy? So this is the translation. Second would be to have them set targets by asking, what will you do differently this year and how will you measure it? And then finally, establishing accountability for that team or group to that strategy. You can get this by asking, how will we review or adjust this strategy and with whom? So let's revisit our ship analogy. And let's say you're the captain of the ship and your strategy is to sink more enemy ships. Now you could broadcast that to your crew, but it doesn't mean as much. The navigators or engineering or cook even might say, great, but that doesn't mean much to me. But if you follow those questions and you ask the navigators, how do you contribute? What are your targets? They might come up with something like, we're going to surprise more enemy ships versus being surprised. And our goal is that we always want to surprise them and we never want to be surprised. So maybe they start hunting at night or navigating at night more. For engineering, digging in and saying, what's your contribution to sinking more ships? They might be apt to say, oh, I just do our job or keep things. But it's no, you could design long-range weapon systems, maybe increase the range at which you could detect enemy ships by 20%, right? So it's something like that that's meaningful for them that aligns to strategy. You go to somebody like the cook and you say, what's your duty to sinking enemy ships? And he says, nothing, just feed the people as I always do. But when you take all of the strategies together, it might be, I need to train more people to feed people at night because the navigators are going to be hunting at night. So basically, the point is you need to take that macro strategy and translate it into sub-strategies that make sense for the individual leaders throughout the organization. Suddenly, that strategy has meaning and it can change behavior. You don't just have a global positioning system or GPS, but now your steering is working and you could actually start navigating toward your goal. So in conclusion, I ask that you spend less time on strategy formation this year and instead invest it in strategy, translation and alignment, and execution. As always, if you would like help discussing the specifics of cascading your strategy throughout your organization, feel free to set up an appointment for a free consultation by emailing us at info@sagetail.com.